Here on Otillion Farm, got our 2305 all hitched up with a load to go to the dump, and I'm getting a failure where you hit the ignition, starts up for a second, and then cuts out. So I'm going to show you the method of failure, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I found on the message board. So key in, you can see the indicator lights come on, about 3 seconds, hear the click. I got neutral, and obviously in the seat, so give it a crank. So it starts for a second and then cuts out. So doing some research on the message boards, what I found is that it's a failure in one of the diodes, specifically the V4 diode that triggers that. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. Apologize for the sunlight, but kind of stuck where I am at the moment. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out these 4 screws here around the top of the instrument cluster, and then we're going to take off these hex nuts here on either side, and we'll pull this cowling off. Once I do that, then I will be back. Alright, got the screws out of the instrument, by the instrument clusters and the instrument gauges, and get all the hex nuts out. 2 other things you got to do here on the right side of the tractor. You got to take the throttle lever off. It's just the same number 10 metric, 10 millimeter metric hex nut as the others that come out. And the last thing that we got to do is we got to take off the ignition. Got to unscrew this silver dial here around the ignition, and this then allows this whole cover to come off. And there is a second piece in there, so don't lose that. I'll get that in a second. Oh, there we go. All right, now do want to show you one thing when we're pulling this off. So we'll pull the throttle lever off there. I find that it's helpful to have these pressed cardboard inserts that come, you know, when you buy stuff at big box stores. These are great for different compartments for holding all of your screws and nuts and stuff. And then you're also going to want a oil pan, because the problem, what's failing, is the fuel shutoff solenoid, which you can't see very well right now, but we'll pull the cowling off in a second, right here behind the fuel filter. And when you pull that out to test make sure that's the method of failure, you will drip oil everywhere. So be primarily working kind of in this area, and then here underneath the cowling on the right hand side of the tractor. So I'm going to pull the cowling off, and we'll get to the next part. Oh, you're also going to want to open up the hood and pull off this this front cowling as well. So we're going to do that too. All right, I got the cowlings off, and I want to show you again where we're talking about the area that's the problem. So right in here, right there, is the fuel shutoff solenoid. And what happens is when you give ignition, the pull-in coil in conjunction with the hold-in coil, or the holding coil rather, overcomes a spring-loaded fuel valve, and it pulls a pin out of the engine and allows fuel to run. And then when you get this failure of the V4 diode, there's a hold-in coil that keeps the fuel valve open after the pull-in coil de-energizes. And when the V4 diode fails, that hold-in coil also fails, and so the pin stays engaged. So let me show you what we're talking about. First, when I had the issue, I thought it was a fuel problem, so I drained and cleaned my fuel filter, and that didn't work. So then I started doing a little more research, found some really good posts online, and where you're looking at here is the right-hand side of the tractor. So there's the lever for the throttle, and there's a couple of wiring harnesses in here. This is the ignition that's now hanging down after I took the cowl off. And what you're looking for is there are 3 little diodes like this one, little 1.5 amp ones. So there's one here, and there's one right here, and then there's a third one that's behind here, behind this white coupling right there. That's your failure. That's your V4 diode. So I'm going to swap this out and we'll see if she fires up. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to give it one more crank. We can see the method of failure again, and then I'm going to pull the fuel shutoff solenoid, which is the way to test to make sure that that's actually your issue. So go ahead, I'm sitting in the seat. I got the tractor in neutral. Ignition key is in. Give it 3 seconds. Give it a crank. All right, and it dies. All right. So now I'm going to pull that fuel shutoff solenoid. Oil is going to pump out, but the tractor should run just to confirm that that's the method of failure. That's the actual failing component. All right, I've just about got the fuel shutoff solenoid pulled. So it's the same 10mm hex nut as before. So you just pull that off. You have to use the extender for your ratchet on the top one, but they come out pretty easy once you break through. And you can already see there on my fingers the oil. So we're going to pull this out, okay? And now you'll see once the tractor starts running that oil just pours out of here. So we're going to put the oil pan underneath there just to catch anything that comes out. Again, I apologize for the sun, but like I said, can't really get too much better shooting conditions. So, all right. So, if we can confirm that this is the failing component, what'll happen is we'll crank up and we'll run as normal. So 3 seconds in the seat, neutral. All right, there we go. So now we're running. As you can see, well, it's low oil, so oil should be pouring out of there. I had a plunge come out earlier when I was showing this for the first time, so there may not be much more to come out. I already know that I'm pretty low, but so anyway, I would put the drip pan underneath there, just catching the oil, but go ahead and shut it down. Shut it down by taking the solenoid, and you can't cut it off with the key now because it's disengaged, and just pressing it back in there, and that'll shut it down. So again, because that pin is engaged in the out position, putting it actually back in and just pushing it in real gentle, that'll kill the engine. It took me forever to figure that out the first time. I kept turning the key off and nothing was happening. So now I'll remove the key, and again, these 3 diodes here, 1.5 amps, 2, and 3 are the same. So you could swap one with the other if you want to test it, but I got a couple of new diodes from my local John Deere dealer, so I'm going to go grab those, and we'll install that new diode, and we'll see if it's working, and we'll reinstall the fuel shutoff solenoid as well. We'll see if it's working. All right, so once again, we're looking here at the V4 diode. Now, this one is hard to find. It took me a long time on the John Deere blog or posts, message boards to find it, but it's tucked here behind this wiring harness. And I've got it pulled out so it's easy to work at, but normally, you know, it's way back here and it's taped to the harness. It's like that. So when you look at it, you'll probably just see this one, and then you'll see the one above it up here, right up there. So you'll see 1, and then you'll see 2 right here, and then the third one, again, it's behind here. So you got to kind of look for it. But once you find it, got the part right here from my local John Deere dealer. It's local dealer here is Finch Services in Eldersburg, Maryland. They're really, really helpful folks. Went ahead and ordered 2 just so I've got an extra one on standby, just in case, because you never know. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but I found that for me, the easiest way to get this thing out is just take a Phillips head and pry this plastic catch, and then take a flathead, work it out, grab a pair of pliers, work it all the rest of the way out, And you can see it's got 3 prongs, so I guess technically it's not a diode, but that's what all the service manuals call it. So, all right, here's the new one. Go ahead and insert that. All right, here's the new one. Now, don't forget that you want to reinstall your fuel shutoff solenoid, because testing it with your fuel shutoff solenoid isn't going to show you a whole lot. So I'm going to go ahead and install this, and it might take me a few minutes, so I'll go ahead and cut the video back on once I've got this in and installed. All right, got the fuel shutoff solenoid reinstalled here, and we just replaced the again the V4 diode right there. So now we're going to go ahead and crank the tractor up, and if everything works, then we'll be off and ready to work. So, all right, in the seat, in neutral. Give her 3 seconds or so, and give it a crank. There you go. And you know the solenoid's working because you kill the engine with the key. So we'll go ahead and put everything back together. Reinstallation of the cowlings, etc., is reverse of taking them off. So hopefully this helps some of you out that may be having the same problem. Again, the message boards talk about it being the 3rd diode down on the wiring harness. So throttle lever. Right below the throttle lever was my first one right here. The second one was down here by this electrical coupling, and then the third one, again, I pulled it out so I can work on it, but originally it was tucked back behind there, real hard to find. So that's the installation of the V4 diode, and hope the video has been helpful. And we'll see you again next time here from Methylene Farm. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, heating up, so we're going to start using the tractor a whole lot more here around the farm. So I went ahead and taped these diodes back down, 1, 2, and 3, just so that they make sure we stay in place. The other thing I wanted to mention is, as I mentioned before, you will dump a lot of oil when you first pull your fuel shutoff solenoid. So you can see here, only about half a stick of oil. So obviously going to be doing an oil change, but wanted to just mention those 2 things to you, and hope that again this is helpful, and wish you a safe operation of your tractor.